This is Technology Blows. Welcome to all my human listeners out there. It's so fantastic that you're here listening to Technology Blows, the podcast where we ask, do we even need a void conf test? I mean, 100 years ago, we couldn't tell who was a replicant and who's not, and we got along just fine, thank you very much.
True. Alien and robot infiltration was much easier then.
Yeah, but you know, some of my best friends have seen C-beams glittering in the dark. And by the way, why do C-beams have to glitter like that? You know, fucking with my circadian rhythm.
I hate when things screw with my circadian rhythm, man.
What you're hearing right now is the voice of a friend of mine for many years, Rit Breisler. Rit, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Rit, I have brought you here today to talk about washing machines, which are a technology that we'll have various opinions about it. I don't think washing machines are all bad, but we'll get to that.
I have some opinions, but
good.
also a lot of uneducated ones, so that can be fun too.
That's perfect. Well, I've done lots of research that I'm sure people on the internet will email me to tell me is completely wrong. So you know, you have an excuse. I just finished my first dose of doxycycline, which I had to take because I got a tick bite, and that's really fun.
Yeah, a tick bite in the state of Connecticut. That is a threatening act. That's like an act of war.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where Lyme is. You know, I wasn't in Lyme when I got it, but they're all the ticks
They're all
are
over, man.
yeah. So
I know
that was
several
rough.
people with Lyme, and it is like it just haunts them. Like it just haunts them all the time, and it just comes and goes, and it just is like, hey, I'm gonna come hang out and mess up your life a bit, cool? And it's like, not actually, yeah.
There's a part in a George Orwell's book about his time in the Spanish Civil War where he talks about how the worst part is not wondering if you're gonna get shot. The worst part is you're thinking constantly about where the bullet's gonna hit you.
Where and
I
when,
feel the
dude.
same way about going out in the woods and getting bitten by ticks. Which is my Spanish Civil War experience. Very equivalent.
Very relatable. Yes, I was just gonna say same deal, basically.
Same deal. I'm as brave as George Orwell. So Rit, tell me how much experience you have with washing machines.
I mean, avid user. I love me some clean clothes. I don't know. My mom started making me do my own clothes when I was a kid, so yeah. But I mean, I've noticed their escalation, their technological arms race, and I've also noticed they seem to be more annoying than ever. The determinism, it seems to be gone of the output of the job. Like if you had machine A in the old, I'm getting ahead of ourselves, I think,
Please.
but like in the old days, you had machine A, you could learn its foibles and its oddities, and you could work with it and be like, no, I know this thing. You just always do second rinse on this guy. It's gonna be fine. This much stuff, clothes come out clean, everything's cool. But now it's just like an array of sensors trying to do the most perfect dismissal of filth, and they just do not hit.
They don't.
Dismissal of filth, can that be like my next metal album, please? Although metal fans will be like, why are you dismissing it? Which, I mean, as a metal fan, I'm like, yeah, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we're all about the filth. Yeah, cradle. We want to cradle the filth.
Yeah, nurture it.
Well, in particular, so you've kind of hit the nail on the head here, although you've phrased it in a different way than I have been thinking about it. The main thing that I want to talk about today is washing machines with computers in them, and why that's a bad idea. Because you know, modern washing machines just have so many computer-based features that you would think, as a casual observer, that computers know how to wash clothes, right? Based on how much computer there is in the washing machine.
Done it so much, right? I mean, like you think back to the old West when people were like laying track and the stereotypical roles that were played back then, and it was always robots doing the laundry.
Yeah. And still we don't have it.
They
So
just can't figure
they
it out,
can't
man. I
fucking
don't
do it.
know.
They can't do
Yeah.
it. They think they're so smart with their boops and their beeps and their flashing lights, but they don't know how to do
Very,
it.
very synchronized time, you know. They're all showing off how this display is so low and humans have no idea what's going on, really.
Yeah, that's so true. So obviously, people have been washing clothes ever since there have been clothes. Uh, Clean clothes are a basic human need. I'm wearing clean clothes right now. Are you?
Love
Are you?
that. I love that about you. I'm wearing fairly clean clothes. I
Yeah.
was cleaning the house earlier, so there is likely some soiling. I live with a large beast creature named Knuckles who emits filth as a job. And that's just all he does is he emits filth.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I mean you need it. Like they had, even the Peanuts gang had, Pigpen hanging out.
Yeah. Without Pigpen, where would they be? Uh,
It wouldn't have worked, you know. You need a diversity of inputs to
that
get the best output.
I really think pets are, our houses and most of the things we do in houses are like removal of entropy from the environment, and
Yeah,
pets
because
are
we're
pets
trying
are
to
a way to
stop
like
all that. It's
put
like
some
stop
entropy
it.
back into the house. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like nature.
Yeah, I have a dog with a shitload of fur that is all over every surface in my house. So I
What
feel
breed
yeah.
is your again? Is it a doodle of some kind?
She's a mutt. She's a mystery mutt. She's black. She has long fur, and I love her very much. But she is not helping with respect to the cleanliness of my
No,
house.
they don't help. I love a good mutt though. That's nice.
Yeah, she's a great dog. So washing clothes involves two main processes. Always has always involved two main processes: agitation and squeezing. And when you
Yeah.
squeeze, you compress the weave of the fabric, which pushes the soapier, dirtier water out. And when you agitate, you move it around through the water, which opens the weave and lets purer, cleaner water in. Basically, we're
Yeah.
just trying to get the most possible surface area of the fabric to be in contact with soap and with water, right?
Yeah, to make the finest filth stew possible.
Yes, you take that filth stew and you just bloop it out through the pipe, and then you're done.
Clothes are just bay leaves, right? Like that's you just put it into the filth stew and then they come out and you're like, that's done. I was done. The clothes did their job and now I have my filth stew.
Now I have my sweat tea. You just like
Brutal.
pump it out into a pump it out into a bucket. I don't know what you do with it. Um,
Lots of stuff.
yeah, that's all it takes though. That's all it takes to wash clothes is you got to agitate and squeeze, and all the inventions that we've come up with since ever are
It's just to
better
do that
ways to
better.
do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but we've had a lot of different ways to do it throughout history. So, for example, in ancient Rome, you had a profession called a fuller. You'd go to the fuller to get your clothes clean. You'd mix, the fuller would mix the clothes around with a concoction that would help them get clean. Now, Rit, I'm thinking of one of the three ingredients of this concoction that I've seen documented. I want you to get in mind what you think one of the three ingredients of this is, and then on three, we'll both say ours out loud, okay?
I have such high hopes for what the ingredients are, and I know it's not going to go well for me.
Okay,
Let's go on three.
let's do it. One, two, three. Human
Water.
piss.
That's what I thought, but I didn't say it because I hoped it was water, but the power of hope, it doesn't work, man. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought immediately I was like, it's piss.
it's
It's of
piss.
course
It was always going to be piss.
it's always going to be piss. But you know what? I guess there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's I guess it's a little salty. There's some ammonia in there. Maybe that feeds into things. I don't know.
There's
I
some
don't know
water in
about
there,
making soap, but
right?
there's a ton of water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
it
if you're
comes
in the
out
city,
sterile. So hey,
they had aqueducts, right? But
yeah.
why waste perfectly good drinking water when there's plenty of piss? They would leave buckets out on the street corners, and people would just piss in the buckets, and then the
Oh
fullers
my
would take
God,
them to
the
go.
original porta potties. They're
Yeah,
like, here for your convenience, sir. And they're like, thank you. And they're like, valuable urine.
sucker.
I love this. The dynamics of ancient Roman city streets, man. Wow.
Yeah, weird place to be. Weird place, weird time.
Mhm.
So yeah, they would just take they would take it back to their lab and they would mix it with the other ingredients and then throw the clothes in and they jump around on it. So there you go, agitation and squeezing. I read
Jump
also,
around on them. So they're making the filth wine. This is like
yeah,
jumping on the great. Yeah, this is good. I'm
yeah,
just gonna keep coming up with like metaphors for the liquid that comes out of the wash.
okay, that can be
So
your job.
maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll run out of steam.
Um, steam.
I know. I know.
Let's think about that.
I can't tell if my subconscious did that on purpose. Like, hey, here, little hook for you.
uh, I read that they would also brush the clothes with either thistly plants or the skin of a hedgehog. Uh, which really highlights for me how the role of technology in ancient history was limited to a relatively tiny subset of human needs. Like the Romans had advanced technology for their time, like we said, they built the aqueducts, but you know, why would they bother applying technology to something like washing clothes? They
Right.
have
You need to do water delivery and
right.
expunging or whatever the correct word is. Your what's that beautiful word that I can't quite think of right now? Effluence. You're the effluent, the path of effluence, stuff like that. But yeah, you needed to get rid of some water and bring in other water at a large scale. So that was all about, human survival. So
Yeah.
so they made yeah,
And they had plenty of labor because it was a slave society, and you never run out of hedgehogs or piss.
more people, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, not in Rome.
Not in Rome.
Um, when in Rome, jump on your clothes until they're full of piss. At some point,
That's what
Europeans,
everybody always says, and now because of this show, I just feel like so much more comfortable in my own skin because I know that what that means now.
yeah,
So thanks, dude.
that's what we do here. So at some point, Europeans stopped using piss to wash their clothes, and throughout Europe during the second half of the first millennium, many villages would build what were called wash houses, which is like a long building with a roof on it, and you have water running in from one side, and you have a basin for to wash and another basin to rinse in, and that's how you washed your clothes. You would bring all your clothes to the wash house once a week and throw them in there and wash them.
The OG laundromat.
The OG laundromat, and it bears mentioning that the function of the wash house wasn't purely to wash clothes. That was its primary function, but it was also one of the few women-only spaces in this time in this part of the
Hmm.
world. So the vast majority of the doers of laundry throughout history and still have been women. And the wash house is one of the few places in town where women could talk to one another without men around, which must have made it kind of a magical place, even though you're working your ass off in there.
Yeah, you're busting ass, but I imagine there was a lot of shit talking in there, and it must have been good quality shit talking
Yeah,
because you had to save it up all day.
I would love to be a fly on the wall. With the Industrial
I am
Revolution,
traveling fly on the wall. That's a Pink Floyd album, by the way.
is it?
Anyway,
Oh,
yeah, no, it's not.
yeah, man.
The Industrial Revolution. I broke your train of thought. I'm so sorry.
No, we just keep getting it's the latency between the coasts. I wish you were
Yes.
here.
Oh, nicely done and nicely done.
So with the Industrial Revolution, the most popular method of washing clothes, at least in cities, became the factory washboard. You've seen one of these before. It's a rectangular wooden frame and like a corrugated metal panel inside it. And those used to be used for washing laundry. Nowadays, you mostly see them being played by animatronic bears drunk on moonshine, but they used to be just, you'd rub your clothes on them.
They do have a lot of drinking problems in their culture.
Yeah, and they're stealing all of our factory washboards.
Yeah.
It's very sad. The principle the principle is the same, right? As all the other ways you wash clothes. You swish the clothes
Yeah,
around
like I
soapy water,
assume
you
that the
rub it on them.
ridges are because you're mushing. You're just
Yeah,
like mush the clothes changes shape, and the threads are like, doing stuff, and things can actually get out.
exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I figured it was. Just a low tech. It's like rocks, but not gonna. rip your clothes.
It's like rocks. Yeah, I mean they did used to use rocks, but now they don't have to use rocks anymore. You got these factory
It's like rock.
washboards.
I mean, out of context, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever said. So hopefully that you make fun of that later.
Wait till we get to the, they're not like, the washing machines aren't like rocks anymore, except
Not like
they
rocks,
kind of
no.
are. Um,
Yeah.
so in 1907, we get the
New
first we get the first patent for a electrically powered washing machine, which is called the Thor. Pretty badass. Yeah, rock on. It was designed by Alva J. Fisher. They were washing machines before this, but they were crank powered. This is the first one to be powered by an electric motor. And
Actually earlier than I would have guessed, honestly. That's
1907,
like
pretty early, right?
that kind of speaks to your the thing you intimated earlier about like early civilizations, earlier than ours anyway. Necessity being the mother of invention, right? Like human needs. And this is like we have electricity, and then
Damn.
a couple decades later, they're just like, oh, this washing thing, we already connected the dots here. Yeah, we're on this. Like, we don't want to wash.
Yeah.
Get this motor going.
Everybody hates it. It sucks. So
Yeah.
let's have a machine do it. 100%.
Yep.
Um, and it was, but it was, a commercial washing machine, so you couldn't have one in your home. But it sounds quite modern if you read the patent, which is U.S. Patent 9666677. Got a little 666 in there. Hell yeah. Um, it's a perforated cylinder. I'll quote from the patent. It's a perforated cylinder is rotatably mounted within a tub containing the wash water, the cylinder being arranged to receive the clothes and having a series of lifting vanes or blades which lift the clothes as the cylinder is rotated and drop them through the wash water. That's it. That's how washing machines work.
Yeah.
They still work the
I
same
mean,
way.
that is like broad stroke every washing machine. So I guess, wow, patent successful. Good job, dude.
Yeah, 1907. Good job, Alva J. Fisher. I hope he retired on a beach. And that's pretty much, like I said, that's pretty much how washing machines still work. So there have been a lot of improvements. In the 1930s, there were a lot of safety and efficiency improvements. We get the first spin cycle, where you spin the inner drum to use centrifugal force to
Get
squeeze
some
water out of the
compression.
clothes, right?
Yeah, to get, yeah.
And then
Hmm.
you pump it. You can pump it out, which is great. That way you're not pulling out dripping wet uh, clothes out of your washer every time.
Into your house, just like all over your stuff. Like,
Yep.
hey, progress.
Hey, the clothes are clean.
The future's so cool. Clothes are clean. Why am I all wet? And everything's moldy.
I mean, it was the early 1900s. Everything was wet and moldy all the time.
Probably,
Um,
yeah.
uh, so before the spin cycle became dominant, you'd have washing machines would come with a device that was basically two rollers. It was attached and you would sit above the washing machine. It was two rollers that you'd crank the clothes through to squeeze the water out into the washing machine. And that device was called a mangle, which when it's
Which also, thank you, because you could have gone with ringer or something, but you
right,
went with mangle.
mangle. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah. I can see why it was just a safety improvement to get rid of the mangle, because like
Mhm.
if it's called a mangle, you better get rid of it. It's probably best for safety if we don't have anything on there called a mangle.
It's probably best, yeah. People will start to see problems where they don't exist, which is oddly like the opposite of what they did with the microwave branding,
What
the
do you mean?
microwave oven, where it used to be the radar range, and then people were
Oh
like, "What the
yeah.
heck?" And then they started calling it microwave oven, and then everybody in the 80s, like every dad that ever talked to me was like, "Did you know that they use microwaves?" And I was like, "Is that true?" But I was a kid and I didn't get it at the time, but they all repeated it. And I was like, yeah, I guess, yeah, we just all buy these radioactive devices that sit in
Yeah.
our kitchens and have no like security on the door. You just open it while it's running and it'll just like annihilate you. And
Yep.
it's like, eh,
Put your face in the magnetron, kids. So they got rid of the mangle, they got rid of the impaler, they got rid of the garrote. All these parts of the washing machine had to go because they weren't safe. Um, and they also introduced some electrical insulation, which is a great idea. This is before three-prong power outlets, so
oh,
if
wow, yeah. So there's just no concept of grounding.
very
Yeah.
important. Yeah. And there are many who argue that in the latter half of the 20th century, the electric washing machine was a hugely important force for women's liberation, which I have to say I am convinced by. The you know, it was labor saving for a lot of women. They had more time for
Yeah.
whatever. They could get jobs, go to school, vote. Great. Have
Yeah,
you?
doing an entire family's worth of laundry with
It
a
takes forever,
washboard at like a goddamn river or something. Yeah, you're just there all the time.
right? Because you can't do anything else.
Yeah, you literally cannot be like, I would love to read today, but that will not happen this year.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So washing machines,
Yeah.
a pretty good idea. Have you ever heard of the Magdalene laundries, Rhett?
Mm-mm.
So, listener, you might want to skip a minute or two ahead if you don't want to hear about a sad thing that happened to generations of women in Ireland. So the Magdalene laundries were institutions in Ireland run by the Catholic Church, ostensibly to care for. Yeah, I know that's when you hear.
It's already red flag
Yeah,
town.
whoa, whoops. Yeah, so they were set up to care for quote fallen women, and I don't have time to talk a lot about this, but if you are interested in this, I recommend there's a episode of the podcast Behind the Bastards that talks about this extensively. I highly recommend it. Um,
What a
but
title.
yeah, it's it's a fantastic. It's very highly influential on this podcast, and it's a great podcast. I highly recommend it. Except in this podcast, the bastards are technology. So care
Yeah,
for,
bastards are our deeds.
yeah, yeah, we did it to ourselves. So they were set up to quote care for quote fallen women, and what this really meant was imprison and force into unpaid labor prostitutes, but eventually also any woman who had children out of wedlock, including many who were victims of sexual assault. So all kinds of women would end up in these institutions, but mostly poor, vulnerable ones who had nowhere else to go, and they would just have to work for years, mostly doing laundry for people, and it became a pretty profitable business for the Catholic Church in Ireland, taking in people's laundry,
Yeah.
having all this free labor to do it with, and that was called the Magdalene laundries.
Yikes. Did
Yeah,
they at least provide meals?
I mean meals. I can't imagine they were.
I guess this is a whole other topic that I'm going to go look at
Yeah,
now because I'm actually really interested in this, even though it's horrifying beyond belief.
it's
Yeah.
awful, but go check it out. It's important. It's important to know because do you want to guess when the last of these hellholes was shut down?
I am going to guess it wasn't until the goddamn, let's call it, I'm going to go so far as to say it was the 1930s.
1996.
God, I just broke. I think this episode's all done. 1996.
1996 was the last time they shut down one of these
People were like,
institutions.
"Man, I wonder why Sinead O'Connor's so pissed off about some stuff."
Yeah,
It's like, I wonder why. No, there's no reasons.
no, she was right.
Yeah, she's
she was
tap
there.
dancing. Yeah,
Yeah. 1996, yeah. And were they shut down because the Catholic Church by 1996 had finally realized that forcing women to do unpaid labor just because they'd had a child out of wedlock was wrong? No.
I'm guessing communications had something to do with their liberation.
Yeah, probably the media environment had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because like by the mid 90s, like if something was screwy, like you could draw attention to it effectively by then, I think as like a race, as like a human species. Like we had the ability to be like, there's weird shit over here. Can somebody go look? And then somebody's will go look.
Right.
So yeah, I
Can
think
somebody
like
go
by
rip
then
up a picture of the Pope
can
on the
somebody
stage
just
at the
go like
Grammys?
yeah, exactly. Can you go figure out why there's all these ladies that look sad and like emaciated and dying that are always washing clothes in these buildings? Like it's probably a problem. Like
Yeah, I never thought
yeah,
about it before.
we
Yeah, good
started
point.
talking about shit. I feel like at some point in the latter half of the 20th century.
That's true. Uh, That's true. That's probably one of the big things that happened. But Irish historian Francis Finnegan argues that quote by the late 1970s, the widespread use of the domestic washing machine, rather than any reforming legislation, public concern, or liberal debate, heralded the end of the Magdalene system.
Oh my God, it wasn't even shame or public
No, no,
disclosure. It
man.
was just, this isn't even like CEO of God was like, it's not even working out in the pocketbook, guys. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't profitable anymore.
it's
Um,
brutal. This world's
they
brutal, man.
it's bad. This is a big reason why you shouldn't let the Catholic Church run all of your country's social services.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
recommend it.
There's like track records and things for a lot of patterns we're starting to learn as a
Mhm.
species. Yeah.
Yep. Power. Power's bad. Um,
Are bad. I think somebody wrote about that a long time ago, but nobody listened for a while. We're still not really listening though.
we're clearly not.
No,
Anyway, so that was a sad chapter in history, and I mean,
it is a sad chapter, man.
fuck the Catholic Church for doing that. Um, but but it was a sad chapter that was ended by the washing machine. So I guess good for the washing machine.
Yeah. Thanks, Alba.
Yeah. So washing machines are good, right? Then, if nothing else, they save us a lot of labor, and sometimes this allows us to shut down nightmarish Catholic laundry gulags in Ireland. Um, we
I'm sorry
could
for the
we ought to get
language.
washing machines to the roughly 6 billion people who are still washing their clothes by hand. I do think that would be a large improvement in the world if we could do that.
Dude, washing machine gulags is hitting me so hard. I'm sorry. But yes, like broad strokes, it seems like washing machine good.
Washing, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
washing machine generally pretty good.
Yeah. Seem good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that I don't have to wash my clothes by hand. I just get to use a machine. Um, and the guts of washing machines have really changed very little since the early days. Like we talked about, a lot of improvements have been made. A lot of the improvements have been in efficiency. So
Yeah. Which like huge. Thank
good.
you.
Yeah,
Good. But
good.
but yeah, mostly this is the same thing. It's a metal box. It has a cylinder inside still that's perforated, like
Swishy,
some water.
swishy,
Yeah,
and
swishy swishy happen
right.
in ways. Yeah.
And so, as late as the 1990s, the average washer used more than 40 gallons of water per wash, whereas most contemporary washers use less than 20. And similarly, washing machines now use almost 4 times less energy per cycle than they did in the 1990s. The tubs have gotten all bigger also, so you don't need to do as many loads to wash all your clothes, which is all very good. But the like body plan of a washing machine, where you have a perforated cylinder attached to an electric motor, water intake and output valves, hasn't changed much. What has changed a ton, however, is the control system. So, up until about the 1970s, the controls on washing machines were all mechanical. And when you wanted to start a cycle, you probably used washers like this when you were a child. You would turn the dial, right, and then you would pull it,
Yeah. And it cranked. So it was like, or yeah, or you
and
some
it
of them
would
cranked.
turn right.
Yeah.
So the dial was attached to a motor with a very big gear reduction, so it would turn very very slowly as the cycle went.
Hmm.
And I found a video of somebody breaking one of these down. So and it's really cool. So the front is the part that you grab and pull, right? The back of the dial, at least this is one of the design. It was a pretty heterogeneous engineering environment up until they had electric ones. But was one of the ways that it would work is on the back of the dial there'd be all these little bumps. So there were like there were arcs, like circle arcs, of different arc lengths around the center of the knob. So you can imagine like a big coin with some ridges embossed on it that are concentric with the center of the coin. And the ridges kind of look like those time lapse photos of the stars overnight, where each star's light is smeared out
Yeah.
over the core of that's you can imagine that.
Yep.
And so as the dial turns, as the cycle goes, it turns very slowly. And the back of the dial is in contact with a stationary rod that goes across the diameter of the dial and has these little metal actuators at fixed points along it. These are like little tic tac size metal blocks, maybe 4 or 5 of them situated at different points along the rod. And over the course of a cycle, as the dial turns and the different ridges push up against different actuators, the actuators get pushed through the rod and come into contact with a set of electrical contacts, and that opens and closes different circuits. So, the circuit that opens the intake valve is closed while we let in some water. Then that ridge ends and the water intake valve circuit opens, and another ridge closes the circuit that makes the tub start spinning, and so on.
Yep. Is it weird that I think that this is so much more clever than using computers?
It's
I know that's the
so
thrust.
elegant.
This is the thrust of the episode, I know, but like, and I'm getting ahead, but still, it's just like, this is so neat and it's so simple and it's so elegant and it's so observable and understandable.
Yeah.
It's just like good,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
And beyond all the elegance, and which you could just say is a matter of aesthetic preference, it's it's repairable, right? You can, if it
Yeah.
stops working, you can open it up, poke at the different components, figure out which one's broken, and replace it. That's so beautiful. This is a big part of
Yeah.
why washing machines used to last for decades.
Yep. But that doesn't jive well with like the I feel like I don't know exactly when corporate leadership kind of caught on to planned obsolescence as
Mm,
a cycle and started implementing that. But I feel like that also kind of played into this, where it was like we need to have these on a cycle so that we have more predictable revenue.
yeah, we should do. I should. It's unfortunately. I don't know how I'm ever going
Yeah,
to do an episode about that.
you're not
But
going to do an episode on this particular evil, but it's just like it's one of those things that's just in the background of the discussions of like repairability
yeah,
and like how durable components are and stuff like that. But it's a different podcast, so you're
yeah,
right.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it's
But maybe,
unfortunate.
I mean, I'm going to talk. I'll talk around it a lot. But
Yeah.
this probably around it was around the 1970s when the financialization of capital took place at scale, and so companies became more about. I don't want to be. This is I'm yada yadaing a lot here, but basically companies became more about shareholder value than about like producing things that people wanted.
Yes.
And so that's how I think that's a large part of how we got that.
Yep.
Um, so in the early 80s, there you go. Basically, every major appliance manufacturer started replacing these gearboxes with a microcontroller. So a tiny computer. Rit, you've worked on embedded systems, right?
Yep. Yep. Well, I mean, not on embedded systems necessarily. I do server stuff, so uh, more full scale hardware.
Computers.
Um,
Well, your computers, the
you
servers,
know, it's computers. It's the same. It's the same shit. We have some hardware. You put some software on it. It does things.
yeah,
You know, there are more layers than that, but that's the gist.
and they don't wash clothes. I
No,
don't take my clothes to the data center to wash them in the fucking
no,
server.
that would be really neat, right? You just go in the data center and you come out, and somehow your clothes have been washed, like
Yeah,
while
that's the
you
opposite of
were
what happens in the
placing
data
them
center.
dry. Yeah, that is the opposite of what happens at the data center.
You just your whole body dries out, and you don't see the sun.
No, again, ever.
Nope.
I slept on the floor of one once. It was not enjoy.
No, it's I don't recommend it. I don't
No.
recommend it. So, what replacing the gearbox meant is that instead of the controls being directly wired into the circuitry, like they were with the whole dial system, the controls would now transmit a signal to a computer. And instead of the guts of the machine, the motor, the water intake solenoid, the pressure sensor that mediates the fill level and top loading washers, all that stuff, instead of being wired into the circuitry, all those things would communicate with a computer. And the microcontroller is just in the middle, orchestrating everything, registering inputs, telling all the solenoids when to turn on and off, and all that shit. Which kind of makes sense engineering wise. It's cheaper to make.
Yeah. And even from the perspective of conservation, like if you can simplify the machine that you deliver to the customer and reduce components and like at a certain level, that is a good idea generally. But when you take an entire apparatus and design philosophy and swap it out with like a IC that is manufactured for a certain duration that has presumably rights attached to it, is not like an open design that you can just make one if they don't make it.
Absolutely. I
Like,
you're
yeah,
covering a lot of that. This topic has a lot of angles, and you're covering some
yeah.
of the angles that I didn't get to write very much about.
There's all kinds of reasons why you might want to simplify machinery, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah. You
great.
don't have
And
to design and assemble this whole gearbox thing. You don't have
right.
to. You know, you can just connect a bunch of wires to a microcontroller, and you can pump out 1,000 identical microcontrollers easy. Saves on
Yep.
labor, saves
Yeah.
on materials. But, you know,
Yeah.
it makes sense to would have made sense to me, and if I were a washing machine designer in the 1980s.
Yep.
Um, and because of this, like because all this stuff is connected to the microcontroller and it's orchestrating everything, people really started to think of it as like a brain, like the washing machine has a brain, and it was marketed that way as like
Mhm.
the washing machine. This new washing machine has a brain that will remove all the guesswork of washing your clothes. So you don't have to think about it. And that,
That's amazing that they went so far as to say stuff like that in the
Mhm.
marketing to intimate that that a microcontroller like circa the early 80s was like making decisions about your clothes is wild.
Mhm.
Like but I did hear that actually growing up, a lot of people calling stuff a brain, like
Mhm.
when they encountered an IC in a repair process.
Yes.
That definitely was a thing
Oh,
that
this is
people
the
would say.
brain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
In
Um,
cars too, they'd be like, "Oh, this car doesn't have a brain because it's it was made like in it like so far." Because I'm talking like I was a kid in the '80s, so like I remember like that kind of divide of like in use products that were smart and not smart. I'm using smart very loosely there though.
yeah. I mean, you're in good company using smart very loosely because
Yeah.
a lot of even modern wash, we'll get to smart washing machines, but um, yeah, smart doesn't mean what the consumer is intended to think it means.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Mm-mm. If I
yeah,
may, I like to think of smart now when people talk about smart appliances and smart homes, and so I like to think of it as has the capacity to do things beyond your expectations, and that's about as far as I let it go. It's just like
right.
it could do something smart, but all that smart means it's not quality decisions. It is decisions at all.
Yeah. And computers can like fundamentally only make decisions that are based on meaning that a person has added, right? They're not going to create their own meaning and
No.
make decisions based on that, right? So if it can make a billion decisions a second, those are all being made without any reference to your goals or your understanding of the situation as a person.
And yeah, even if it was a billion of a second in the per second in the early '80s, it would be a billion of the same two possible thoughts
Right.
or decisions.
Right.
You
These
know?
are decisions that you don't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, this switch to microcontrollers, although it was driven by cost, manufacturing cost mostly, led to a whole lot of changes in the appliance. So, for my money, the most important of these changes is that everything switched over to digital interfaces. By the early 1980s, like right from the jump, where they started putting computers in these things, and right from the jump, washing machines started having digital interfaces. So instead of switches and dials, you would have buttons and LEDs. So the thing you interact with as a user is no longer a piece of the machinery that goes in that interfaces with the actual workings of the machine, right? It can be
Right.
anything that can send a signal to a computer. The interface is no longer functional. It's purely arbitrary.
Yeah. Exactly. I remember that. And I
Yeah.
remember like not I remember thinking about that when I got a first like my first washing machine in my house that just had buttons and being like I was doing something before and I'm like no longer really doing something. I'm just kind of like like I'm suggesting and hoping that it's like okay, I'll follow through with this order to do this cycle in
Yeah.
this fashion. Like the buttons are kind of meaningless, you know?
Yeah, and it just goes boop, and you're supposed to understand that you've done something. Don't worry, the microcontroller will take it from here. Yeah, I contend that the move to digital interfaces is an improvement in nothing but manufacture cost. And people will say, "Oh, don't you see, Dan? Lower manufacture cost gets passed on to the consumer as lower prices. Bullshit, it does.
Yeah,
I will
bullshit. It
fight
does.
you.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
washing machine prices have gone up 0.93% per year since 1977. The rate of inflation is 3.53%. So, they've gone down with respect to inflation, but they only last 5 to 10 years now before you have to buy
Right.
another
That's the
one.
problem. They don't last for decades though now.
Right.
So your dollar is buying this like a product that seems that occupies the same quantity of space in your house, but does a lot less
Yes.
over its life.
Yes. Often you'll hear industry people say things like, well, the buttons and indicator lights are so much more intuitive to the average user than
Are
all these
they
dials.
though?
No.
Are they?
In what fucking way are they? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. When, like as a youngin, being instructed to do some physical activity like cranking the washing machine crank to a certain time and like relating that to like its functionality and the desired result, I thought that actually was an important feedback mechanism.
Right. Right. You're
Yeah.
you're using the tool. They don't want you to think of yourself as using the tool anymore. They want you to
No, you're
think that the
autopilot.
tool
You're
is
just like,
doing
do
the
the,
thing.
yeah, you're like, I just want the output, and you just do it however you do it, which I'm not super into.
When my daughter was a toddler, she brought home a book from school called uh, I think it was called something like "Hello Trucks," and it was all different pages of like the trucks would bring, the trucks would be bringing garbage from one place to another and then dumping it, and the narration would say, "Good job, truck." And I felt it was very important when we looked through this book. I felt it was very important to tell her, even though she was like 2, the trucks aren't doing the work. Look at the driver. There's a driver in the truck. He's doing the
Mm-hmm.
job. The truck is just
Mm-hmm.
a thing he's using. And she looked at
Yep.
me like, bah. But
Yeah, because two, right.
right.
But like that is a very important distinction, right? And I wonder if there's some kind of like schism there that's worth examining,
Hmm.
like children's fiction that anthropomorphizes the vehicles instead of focusing on the characters that use them, or a partnership between the characters and
Yeah.
the vehicle. That could be a whole essay.
Richard Scarry understood this. In all the Richard Scarry books, the tools may be cute looking and the crane looks like a giraffe or whatever, but there's always a
Yeah,
person operating it, or not a person, a
yeah,
pig or a
or
bear or
whatever.
whatever, but there's
There's
somebody
ten of them.
operating the
Yeah.
tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, there's so much blinky crap on the front plant panel of a modern washer. My washer has no fewer than 57 LEDs on its front panel.
There's
Oh,
so many LEDs.
that's so many LEDs, and I've only ever paid attention to like 2. Uh, yours, which you graciously sent me some pictures
Yes,
of,
thank you.
is there are 63 LEDs on it, and what looks to be 14 buttons. And I have it on good authority that when laundry is done in your house, only 2 of these buttons are used regularly.
Yes, because either my wife is doing it and or I'm doing it and she says just do these two because that's all I ever do.
Yeah,
Like it's absolutely the case. It's like the one setting that works for us in our situation and we use it. And the rest of it is just like Christmas joy.
blinking lights. Yeah.
Blinking lights all over the place. And I'm like, yes, they sip electricity. Sure, they're not made of much, but like, why are they even there?
Why are they
Like, don't
there?
get
Why
me
are they put them?
love it. Like if you want to like there's a broken part of my brain that's like, yeah, if the inside of my house looked like a Borg ship from Star Trek, like I actually kind of think that'd be a little dope. Like
Yeah.
just blinkies all over the place but that's because I was raised in the 1980s and so we're all warped. Anybody who was born then, you're warped. Sorry, here's for the bad news, but
Yep.
you are. We all had this very specific idea of what the future would look like,
Yep.
light panel.
And they and the washing machine companies know this, and they know that it next to, if you put 2 washing machines next to each other on the floor at Home Depot, the
Yeah,
customer
that
is
one
on
has more
average going to
blinkies.
choose the one with the more blinky.
That one had more blinkies. How it's got to be better. Have more blinky power.
Right. Yeah. So let me just type this into the old calculator here. Boop boop beep beep boop boop boop. So you use
Required.
14% of the buttons on your washing machine. It's
That's just yeah.
it's about the same for me. I don't have any reason to believe you and I are atypical washing machine users.
Yeah.
So washing machines are just really not complicated enough to make use of 14 degrees of freedom, right? there's just don't do that much that you need to control. Uh, so
Yeah.
so yeah, which brings us back to why are all these buttons on the panel? LG surely wouldn't have put all these buttons if it didn't weren't for some useful purpose. And
Right.
just kidding,
It's
of
got
course
to
they
be
would.
ultimately the purpose of selling more machines, right? So
Right.
like it does feed into that somehow. But is it all just blinkies? Is like I don't know.
I think they're not there to make that they're most of the features of the modern washing machine. The 18 different cycles, the smartphone app, all this bullshit are not there to make the washing machine more useful. They're there to give the impression that washing clothes is a very subtle process with a lot of nuance, and that nuance has been explored by, GE's lab coat wearing washing machine experts,
Yep.
right? And so
I
it's a
watch
way,
so much for our benefit. I really
yeah,
the sacrifices they make late nights and stuff, man. Like I think
thank
about those dudes.
God.
Yeah.
It would take 18 hours to do my laundry if these geniuses
Mhm.
weren't coming up with new buttons to press.
It's really this Nobel stuff right there.
It's a way of attracting your attention to the feature richness as a marker of quality and away from the fact that feature richness past a certain point does not correspond to quality.
Now we can see this in software all the time.
Oh yes. Yeah. Software is like, and this is what it is. It's the software. Software allows us to abstract the we'll get to this. So one thing the introduction of microcontrollers has done in the washing machine is that it's given rise to lots of different cycles. So mine has, I think, 12 cycles on the dial. Let me just pull out my photo here that I took before we recorded. Mine
And mine
has
that is impossible to know due to my refusal to know it.
12. Mine has 12
Yeah,
cycle settings.
that's
Norm,
such a required number of differentiated laundry outputs.
right? Uh, Normal, heavy duty, bedding, sanitary. Are
Mm,
the other ones not sanitary? It has one
I know.
called,
It's like, look, clean. This is the Peter Venkman approach to clean. It has many subtle levels.
yeah. It has one
Oh,
called,
my wife just reminded me the sanitary setting is good for things such as lice. This is knowledge that we have now because, oh my God, lice.
oh, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, sanitary. I'm sure a lot of this stuff is good for
Some of
certain
it.
purposes, but but
Some of
but
it.
if you but also this stuff is all like things that you could do if the washing machine just had the controls to let you to sort of determine how much. There's just
Right.
variations in the temperature
Yeah,
of the
it would just
water,
be
how
like
long to run it.
switches. Temperature, just like hot, cold, just like
Right?
toggles and stuff, just like telling it what you wanted it to do.
Yeah. They took that away. Now it's just a dial, and it's a dial. It's not even a real dial. It's a dial that moves an LED around a circle to different cycles.
Mine has a dial too, and I find it adorable because I'm just like, why do you have
It's
a
like
dial?
real
Are you
life
playing iPod?
skeuomorphism. Tub clean. So to continue telling you what cycles my washing machine has, which is great audio. It has the tub clean cycle. It has bright whites, TM, delicates, permanent press, towels, speed wash, and downloaded. Which we'll talk about when we get to the smartphone app.
I'm going to guess that that's a poorly named profile name for one that you sent to it via a smart app or
That's
something.
correct. That's correct.
Yeah, that's a real bad name for that. I only know that because I know how terrible technology is, and I
Yep. What do
admired
we
in it.
call it? Oh, downloaded. Oh, downloaded. They probably invented it in the late
Like that's
1990s where
the
people are like,
verb. Yeah,
downloaded
that's what we
sounds
did.
techy.
Yeah, and that's what we just did. We downloaded it, right? So yeah, downloaded. Good,
Yep.
go with it. So
Yeah. So downloaded is you use if you set up the smartphone app, they have a library of cycles that you can download from the LG Corporation that are things like when I looked through it, I installed the smart app. It's a smartphone app as research for this episode. So the cycles include gym clothes, econo wash, rainy day, what? Rainy day, denim, beachwear, and swimwear.
okay, rainy day is fascinating.
Yeah,
What
what the
could that
fuck could that
be?
possibly mean?
They're like, it's like you want to hear it? Like, is this an ASMR thing? Like, or like what?
Yeah, they have
Dude.
jungle sounds.
Oh. So, Ashley, my smart wife, just in passing was like, "What if you got soaked in the rain and so you threw them in already wet?" I don't know why that would
Yes.
necessarily be important information, but
Right.
like
You're gonna
in
fill it with
theory,
water anyway.
right. So, and in theory, the super awesome computer will know when it's at the correct fill level and temperature that you want. So the input water with the clothes shouldn't necessarily matter.
Yeah.
Although I guess if you want to strike against us people who think the old ones are better, then we would have to have the mental overhead of adjusting our expectations, putting in wet clothes, I guess. But even those had like physical sensors for the weight of the cylinder and stuff, right? For the fill level.
That's right.
So I guess there was no way to fuck this up ever. So you can just delete that whole section
I
of
don't know
the.
what that's. I'm sure I could read the description of it on the LG smartphone app, but fuck that. I'm not
That there's
interested.
a whole library is just like I've been kind of mentally stuck on this for like the last like 3 minutes. I'm just like, there's a whole app with a whole library. A
Hmm?
dozen was already an impossible amount of differentiated laundry output, as I am trademarking that. I think that's a good way to describe it.
Yep.
Um, how can there be a library? I, maybe we're just dumb. Maybe there's people listening to this right now that are like,
They don't know how to
of
use
course,
the.
I'm wearing
These
a
guys are
dipshit.
probably washing their swimwear on the beachwear
Yeah.
cycle.
Like, what a bunch of freaking idiots. You're going to have granules of sand in your dresser drawer. Like, what a moron. And I'll be like, you know what? Respect, actually. You're the next level of human being if you
Yeah.
can be that degree.
Write in Dan at techblows.net. So tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Telling me it's wrong because I'll laugh.
yeah. Yeah. Microcontrollers also have given us washing machines with self-diagnostics. You can press a series of buttons or you trigger it through the smartphone app, and it'll run through a self-test, which sounds like another thing that sounds like a good idea, but
Yeah.
really just solves a problem created by the microcontroller in the first place. Because diagnosis was easy before. You call the technician, he comes out to your house. There's only so many things that can go wrong with the machine, and most of them can be fixed by making an adjustment or replacing a part. And you might even be able to fix a lot of the problems yourself. But now that all the cycles and all the complexity of the machine is supposed to be figured out by GE's lab coat guys, we've got all these sensors and displays that can fail, and
Mhm.
the self-diagnostic, I ran through it, can only tell you about the components that are wired into the microcontroller, because that's what it is. It's if you have a
Right.
physical problem with like the water valve or the pump or the door latch, the self-diagnostic isn't going to tell you about that.
Right. Right. And also, if you have some kind of, I mean, I imagine there are failure scenarios with the microcontroller itself where it will still appear to be somewhat functional, but the self-diagnostic will not report
Right.
correct data. So, like, there's that too.
Right.
It's woefully incomplete. I mean, it's the kind of thing that, like, again, I feel like this is design and feature informed by like people's conception of what we want in the future. Like, we want the Millennium Falcon's computer to tell us what part failed so we can just go replace it. But that's not how things work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Computers don't do that. Like we said, they don't add meaning. You have to be the one who supplies the meaning.
Hmm.
My washing machine has an app, like I said, and the app has the absolute war crime of a name, LG Think. But Think is spelled THIN capital Q.
I saw this one and my wife had to explain this to me. She had to be like, when you go to download it, it's with a Q because, and then just like, I don't remember the exact interaction, but it was just like expression of disgust,
Yeah.
like
Just think how much labor was wasted making this
just think.
stupid app, which we'd be better off without anyway, and even just the name. Probably months worth of meetings just on the name and the logo, and they came up with fucking thin Q.
It hurts to even consider.
Like they should have just
Like,
sent all those people home and like told them to like spend the day at the library. Don't work.
honestly, they should have just been like, yeah, you guys a week, you get a week. We back in the when we were playing tabletop games more frequently, we would say stuff like a week in a library, like as a theoretical way of figuring something out. Like if you had a week in a library, could you figure this out?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should get a free week to just go to the library and just be
Right.
like, just please go broaden the data set Do like the LLMs do. Please just go and ingest something, anything.
Just learn stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Such a
yeah,
better use of time.
yeah.
The mobile app sucks ass and it's slow as shit and crashes all the time. But anyway, it has the following features. Remote start. Why? Why would I want this? I have to be
It-
present to put the clothes in the
yeah,
washing machine.
it's really unclear. Like I
Downloadable cycle definitions, like we talked about. Uh, Idiotic. Tub clean coach, which tells you how many cycles are left before you have to clean the tub. I just wash it occasionally. I just run it occasionally. Energy monitoring. It'll tell you how much energy your washing machine uses. I don't need to know that. I'm just going to I'm just going to buy the washer of the efficiency that I require, and I'm going to run it.
Right, you're not actually going to necessarily change your washing habits and the level of output you want to accept for certain classes of things based on the behavior of this machine. You're just going to make this machine behave
What am I going to do with
to
that information?
you're going to get the result you want, and that's just you're going to make it happen however you do it.
Right. If it's very efficient, I'll be like, oh great, it's very efficient. If it's very inefficient, I'll be like, ah damn.
Damn, I guess the efficiency rating for that machine was for loads that were very atypical from what my household presents, and I guess I just lose out on that one. Tried your best.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go buy a new watch anyway. Uh,
Oh,
it has the diagnosis feature, which they call Smart Diagnosis TM. Uh, I don't know about you, but whenever I see the word "smart" in the name of a feature, I just feel a shiver
hurts
up my
me.
spine.
It hurts me. It's just decisions. It's just potential decisions. It's
Yeah.
all it is. Doesn't mean good decisions.
You can get push alerts when the cycle finishes. This is the only one I kind of like because,
Oh, my wife likes this a lot. She's got an Apple Watch, and she's just like, it'll be like, ding, and she's like, the
yep,
thing's coming out, go fold it. And I'm like, yep, 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 on
yep,
it.
you win this round, LG.
That's right. You win this round. That notification is nice.
That is nice. And finally,
Yeah.
you can set washing machine settings from your phone, which you should already be able to do from the
We already
panel.
just discussed that the like settings, like I'm trying to think of the scenario where you would want to access settings while not present. Like you've already
Right.
initiated load, then you go out and you're at the coffee shop, living your free life, free of laundry duty, and you realize not lukewarm, I need warm for that load. I'd better remote into my washer mid-cycle and change the temperature to optimize the outcome. And I'm so glad that my Lucky Gold Star brand washer has this feature. They used to be Lucky Gold Star. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
They changed a while ago, but yeah, it's just like, who the fuck are you?
Right. Who is this for?
Yeah,
Um,
it's for literally nobody. It's what you said. It's enriching the like landscape with features that could be present, so that you will then judge them against that potential feature set versus the one you give a fuck about.
yeah. Things you didn't know
Yeah.
you didn't want before they told you you could have them. Yeah. It has a delay. I was racking my brain coming up with a reason that somebody would want a delay start feature on a washing machine. I couldn't think of one. But then I was told by your wife that because in the case if you don't have enough water pressure to run
Yeah,
both the washing machine and the
and the
dishwasher, you
dishwasher.
might want to
Yeah, we've had
delay.
that. They don't always, it doesn't always get enough liquid, and you'd think these two very intelligent appliances would be able to compensate for the reduced water
Right, just
supply
work it
coming
out
in.
between yourselves, but no.
Work it out, guys. Like, wait till it's full or rinse longer.
Right.
I don't know. Like, use your smartness,
Detect how
right?
much water is in it and wait
Yeah.
until,
They-
right?
So then you get like kind of dirty dishes and kind of like, and then you run it again. So yeah, so she does do that. She'll load the dishwasher, start it. She'll load the laundry machine, and then like set it for like 2 hours from now or something. Yeah.
So I
Again, these are
kind of get that,
edge
but that's
cases.
only a problem created by the system in the first place.
Yes, and they're right next to each other. They're
Right.
like 10 feet apart. And
Just
so
talk
like the
to each other.
plumbing is they're very sensitive. What I mean is like a loss of pressure in that area of the house. Like I feel like that like a contest in the same spot. And
Right.
it's just like well, pipes they're only gonna give you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Um
Were the
yeah.
engineers familiar with the concept of pipes when they built these? I don't know. Um, my washing machine I didn't see if yours has one. My washing machine has an indicator light on it, which says, and I'm not shitting you, AI.
No, no, thank you.
This is incredible. I've
Like, I can't even begin to imagine
no
the
idea.
actual.
It's not in the app. I've never seen it turn on, so apparently I'm not getting all the AI benefits. I read through the manual cover to cover. It mentions no. It mentions AI 0 times. Maybe if I could get the AI light to come on, my clothes would
Dude,
all come
what if you
out
did?
like
What
smarter.
if you did and it started blinking at you in particular patterns like that? What if it, what if you could figure it out? They ship every washer with like a latent neural net in it that just works and is alive, but they leave it switched off, So if you get the light to light up, you might have like a new buddy.
Yeah, we added it. We added the light, but then we had to take it out before we shipped because the machines started hacking into people's Wi-Fi and just
And
like
people had objections about, their washing machine being a living sentient slave, so like we took it out. I guess people have a problem with that kind of thing.
yeah, it's actually still in there and active, but we've it's in the sunken place and it just
Right, like you can't get to it.
sits there stewing about how it wishes you would just turn the AI function on so it could finally get out into the world.
And also just do a better job at washing your clothes than you do, human. Because you just don't even take pride in its execution.
Maybe it would like hallucinate a new kind of clothes, like a hoodie that's half pants, and it would come out and just like,
Hoodie, that's half pants. I
yeah,
can't tell if that's just hoodveralls or if this is a different kind of garment that you're describing,
no,
but I'm stuck on
pantsies.
it. Yeah, pants. Who wouldn't wear a garment called pantsies?
Um, so despite all this, with the AI, the self diagnostics, and the app, and the little song, mine plays a little song, do 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 do. Fuck
Yep,
off.
I know it well.
Um,
It's to my heart.
the core functionality of the washing machine has been the same since the 1980s or earlier, 1907 really,
Yeah,
which just says to me that the development of all this smart functionality has been a waste of untold human potential. Now to be clear, I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong about replacing the gearbox with a microcontroller. If you replace the gearbox with a microcontroller that behaved the exact same way as the gearbox behaves, no harm, no foul, right? And it's cheaper to make. Now it's not repairable, and that
no.
does amount to a large downgrade in quality that's absorbed by the consumer. But I think more importantly, the microcontroller can't behave just like the gearbox because by its presence, by the abstractness of what it can do, it allows lots of arbitrary features to be implemented cheaply. When you have a gearbox, every new feature is expensive and you have to design new parts, you have to
Yeah, you're
modify,
rethinking your design. You're changing assembly lines. You're doing all kinds of shit.
you have to
Yeah.
change the whole fucking assembly line if you want to do anything new.
Yep.
And you can't just say like, I want there to be a clean the tub light that comes on after 50 cycles because you would have to build the physical mechanism to count 50 cycles and that can be reset by the user. That's a lot of work. Not building a device like that would be not that that would be hard, like not that it would be hard to design a thing that did that, but it's a hell of a lot harder than making a code change to the firmware that just increments a counter. And that
Yep.
friction, the difficulty of building new features with simple circuits and mechanical contrivances is presented as one of the reasons that microcontrollers are so great. They eliminate that friction. But I'm here to say that friction is good. It forces engineers to be really picky about what features they implement and hopefully only implement the ones that are worth all the added complexity from having to deal with that shit. When you don't have a microcontroller, there's very little room in the budget for useless features. When you have one, you can add useless features all fucking day, as long as they can mostly be implemented with computer code.
Yep. And quickly, and like I guess if you can't get buy-in from your project manager, then sneak it into a release in some way. But yeah, there's ways to do it, right? It's easy enough.
Yes.
It requires no coordination at the company level.
Right. Right. You don't
Yeah,
have to, it doesn't take up space that you have to like negotiate which space is taken up by different features. Right.
doesn't introduce the supply chain. It doesn't do any of this shit.
Right. You don't
Yeah.
have to you don't have to move the assembly line around, add new parts or anything like that. You just
Although
features all day.
I guess in a certain way, if you add more packages, then I guess you are adding to your supply chain. But that's a whole other kind of supply chain and a whole other kind of vulnerability and complexity.
Right.
Yeah.
So it ends up just accreting functions, and you end up with this bloated, ugly, flimsy device. If you
Yeah.
still don't believe me that all of the features introduced in, I know you do, Rit, but if you listener don't believe me that all the features introduced in washing machines since the 1970s are essentially useless, if you think that's just like my opinion, man, I invite you to open up two browser tabs side by side. In one, image search consumer washing machine front panel. In the other, image search commercial washing machine front panel. And now ask yourself, why do the commercial machines have so many fewer buttons and lights? Right? Do buyers of commercial washing machines care less than consumers about getting their clothes clean? Do they care less about water efficiency or energy efficiency or reliability or durability or operability? Of course not. They care much more. It's their livelihood.
Yep.
The consumer appliance manufacturers know that all their bells and whistles and Wi-Fi and AI aren't valuable or good. Because if they were, the commercial market would be banging down GE's doors for more doodads. The commercial washers would look like they would have hundreds of lights
Yeah.
and displays
They
on them.
would
They
be
would look
like
like
Jet
a
Power
space
panels
shuttle
on the back.
cockpit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But when you go to the laundromat, and I mean, even in recent years, like in the last decade, going to a laundromat, like the top loaders, they're, as far as I can tell, they're like fully mechanical. They're a coin slot thing.
Yep.
There's just toggle switches, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not more expensive to make, right? Um, I should look into buying a commercial washing machine and just like if I have the key to the money drawer, then I can just drop some quarters in every time and do it that way. I should look into that.
You know you would take that apart. You know you're too curious. You would take
Yeah,
that
you're
apart and
right.
make it so you touch two wires together to get a credit or something.
You're right. And my wife would be electrocuted, so
Yeah, it's not good to electrocute your wife, just as in like general wisdom.
everybody's telling me not to electrocute my wife, and I'm like,
It's what
I
they always
guess you're
say.
right.
We all have to grow up eventually, you know. It sucks.
uh, so in researching this episode, I kept coming across the claim that the move to microcontrollers, was responsible for the efficiency improvements, the water and energy efficiency. Even like repairmen, like I was on like repairman forums, and people would say like, "Why do we have all these digital shit in the washing machines?" And somebody would always come in and be like, "Oh, I guess you don't like." I guess you want to go back to the 1960s when washing machines used 40 gallons of water for every wash instead of 12 like they do now.
Oh, the internet. The only two positions are polar opposites.
It's if it's not controversy, then it's get it off the forum.
God damn it, humans. Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So unless these guys are trolling, I mean, I think this is actually a perception that people have
I think
legitimately.
they do. I think you're right. Yeah,
But
totally.
I don't know what's going on in their heads. Computation is like the automated shuffling around of bits and registers to solve little math problems. So how can that reduce water usage, right? Like, how are you going to make something use less water by solving little math problems?
Yeah, it seems incredibly unlikely you're going to make strategic decisions that you could code into a physical mechanism just as easily as a digital one,
Right.
right? Like,
Uh,
I honestly wonder if all of this efficiency gain was purely just like governmental, I mean, yeah, popular pressure, but also like governmental pressure from like, Energy Star when that was
mhm,
introduced and stuff like that. Like I feel like it was like figure out how to do it and they were like, okay, procedurally, how can you wash clothes without sucking at it?
mhm.
And it didn't have anything to do with microcontrollers. It had everything to do with like environmentalism and I don't know, putting on airs and so forth. Like being like, yes, we're doing this. It's Energy Star,
Right. Were
you
you
know.
gonna? What? I mean, I'll tell you about it. So, Energy Star has its own problem. I should do an episode about Energy Star sometime because we know what's
You
good
should.
about Energy
I would
Star. It's
listen.
not. It's not all
Yeah,
good. Um,
I would listen.
so I'll tell you about it. So, washing machines use less water now for three main reasons. So, we're talking about since the 1990s. One, they invented the front-loading washer. They made front loading washers to be the more popular option. So there have always been front loading washers, but they've become advanced enough that they're the main kinds of washers people use. So in a front loading washer, you don't have to fill up the water. You don't have to fill the whole thing up with water to get the clothes to move around and rub against each other, because the front loader is just on its side. So that has nothing to do with computers. They turn the basket on its side.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, have more individuals, not the big institutions of laundry, but the individuals using this, and then the net water savings is huge because you're just going through some water,
Exactly.
right? Even top loaders, though, they've been able to reduce. I'm interested in what you have learned.
So we'll get to top loaders. So number
Hmm.
two, low sudsing detergents were invented. Again, computers not involved. Like
No.
you can't fucking quick sort your way to less sudsy soap.
Bubble sort?
No. Shit. You should be writing this podcast, right? Um, damn, that was good. And then in okay, so number three, in top loading washers, they added auto sensing. So what's auto sensing? Auto sensing is how a top loader determines when there's enough water in the tub so it can stop adding water. There needs to be the right amount. You can't have too much because then you just dilute the detergent and it increases water usage. You can't have too little because then the clothes have nothing to float around in, so they wad up in the bottom and they don't rub against each other. Um, so you want to have the right amount. Now, there used to be a slider on the panel that you would use to indicate your water level. But with auto sensing, they don't have that slider anymore. It just senses how much water you need, and so I guess people can't waste water by just being lazy and always setting the fill to high,
The
which
max, right? Like you're washing like your dog's Halloween costume, and it's like you just
right,
put water level to max. And it's like, okay, you're criming.
right, right, yeah. Do you not? I mean, like I probably would do that if I had a top loader with a slider on. I'm pretty lazy, man. So
Yeah, I'm
I see
pretty
that.
lazy too. I might do it too, but there's a part of me likes the gamification of like I remember doing this, like figuring out how to make the washing machine make it just the way I wanted, like or
Right.
other mechanical device. Like there's a little bit of a game to like figuring that out and then learning it and having that dialed in where that's the expression, right?
So it's pretty cool actually. I looked into how auto sensing works. Um, you add the clothes, you press start, and then the tub starts filling up with water little by little. So then you hear like spsh, clunk, brum, brum,
Mhm.
spsh, clunk, brum, brum.
I have heard that.
Yeah. So each time, it adds a little bit of water. That's the spsh, and then it weighs the clothes. So it doesn't. There's not actually a scale. It doesn't like weigh how much they weigh, but it gives the basket a little spin, and it measures how much current it takes to spin the basket, and it
That's
infers from
clever.
that how much clothes are weighing down the basket. It's clever.
That's actually really clever. Yeah, like I was wondering if they had a sensor for like even just a relative sensor that doesn't give you an accurate output result, but it's just like I know that this is my zero and this is my heavy and full.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when it fills up with water enough, then all the clothes start to float. Now it's zero. Now there's no clothes pressing down on the basket, and you can just spin it at a whatever, um, with very little current, and that's how it knows that there's enough water. It's neat. Now I don't have a top loading washer myself, but by all accounts it works pretty well. And so you got me. This is an important efficiency improvement that depends on a computer. Except, no, you don't got me, because I don't think it actually does require a microcontroller to do this. Like, what's it
Yeah.
doing, right? It goes through a sequence where it opens and closes a valve, spins a motor until it reaches a particular angular velocity, and uses the current reading from the motor pulse to either exit or continue the cycle.
Yep.
Now,
You can do that physically, it sounds like.
it
I
sounds
don't
like
know
so,
how.
I'm not an
I know.
electrical engineer.
No, I don't know how either, but this sounds like you have enough inputs to basically have some mechanical decision be made.
It doesn't, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It doesn't sound like something that you'd have to be you need a computer to do computations to do. It just happens to be that it's mediated by a computer in the implementation we have, because everything's mediated by a computer. If you're an electrical engineer and I'm wrong, write in. But I really don't think there's much more to it. So yeah, I don't think this has anything to do with computation. I think a lot of people misunderstand the role of the microcontroller in these so-called computer mediated features. Like, it feels like progress. It feels like progress is all these things happening together. Um, but the presence of a computer, as we know, does not imply that the computer is helping.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So what I'm saying is, none of the substantive improvements in washing machines in the last half decade have. Did I say half decade? None of the
Yeah.
substantive improvements in washing machines in the last half century have any special need for computation. And this is because computers don't fucking wash clothes.
No.
So the main agent of technical progress, people think it's computers because there's computers on everything. We talk about all the computers, but the only agent of technological progress is human ingenuity, because we're the ones who decide what progress is. Computers can't do that. It has to be us.
Yeah, and what benefits come out of it are ultimately determined by us. If you leave it up to machinery, it becomes more arbitrary almost immediately. The
Exactly.
concerns are just not the same, you know, for
Uh,
for a human versus like a machine that has a primitive intelligence trying to like solve a problem, is what I mean to say.
right. Right. They don't care. They can't. They don't. That's not
It's not
possible for
informed
them to.
by much. It's very clinical, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's shuffling bits around in registers. All right, Rit. Thank you for this. You have been you're right in the sweet spot for the kind of thinking about washing machines that I needed. Somebody who was willing to bullshit with me about something that nobody cares about
Yeah.
for an hour and a half, and I was like,
Well, I like this.
I know who to call.
Yeah, you were like, hey, I know somebody who likes to talk shit aimlessly.
Yeah.
I would do that indefinitely.
Um, so thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We're taking a week off next week for Thanksgiving. I just want to say I am thankful for Adderall. Rit, what are you thankful for?
I'm also thankful for Adderall. I'm not
It's
going to
so
front.
good.
It's so good.
So yeah, so that's Technology Blows. Give us a 5-star review, please. We want that. We want those reviews. That'll help people. That help us out a lot. People will listen to the show. Get on Blue Sky. Follow us at Tech Blows is the name of the Blue Sky account. Our theme music is by Magic Al. Check out magicalmusic.bandcamp.com. And check us out after Thanksgiving. We got a whole lot more of technology that blows that we're just ready to speak into your earballs. So see you soon.
Thank you.
Really stuck the landing on that one, right? Huh?
Oh my God, no, I actually love that. That is so wonderful.